You're tired? Great. Get to work. You're heartbroken? Great. Get to work. Because if you can show up to work every single day despite of what you're going through, you're going to develop an unstoppable version of yourself.
All right. So when we're calling expired properties and you get through the opening, my opening is always the same. Good morning. Is this Mike? And I'll go, yeah. Awesome. Hey, Mike, my name's Shane. I'm a local real estate agent. I saw your property on Johnson Street expired off the market. Whatever happened with that? Are you guys still trying to sell it or what's going on? Right? I try to sound as nonchalant as possible. I don't want to sound like a salesperson. I don't want to sound like every other real estate agent that reaches out to them and talks to them and stuff. I want to sound really like, hey, what's going on with that, man? Like, what are you doing? As if I'm calling my cousin to say, what happened to your property, man? It didn't sell, right? That's the tonality that you want to have. Now, when they say, yeah, no, I didn't sell. And it's like, oh, are you still trying to sell it? Like, are you going to put it back in the market? Like, what are your plans? And if they say, yeah, well, I'm still trying to sell it, it's like, awesome. Well, you know, let me ask you this. And this is to your point, Travis, right? Let me ask you this. On the last time it was listed, what kind of feedback were you getting from your agent? Now, I know if it didn't sell, chances are they weren't getting any feedback because most agents don't give feedback to their sellers, right? Or at least a large percentage of them don't. I won't necessarily say most because there are good agents out there that are really methodical about trying to get feedback and then relaying it to their clients and using it to make the property better so it'll sell the next time around. But I know with expired properties, it's a pain point that we can lock in on, right? And it's a point where we can start applying for the job before we even have a job interview, right? So when they say, now you ask the question, what kind of feedback were you getting on the showings you did have, right? And they go, well, we really weren't getting any feedback. There wasn't any feedback coming, which is what your guy said this morning, Travis, right?
Right.
Go, no feedback. Well, heck, let me tell you something. With all of my listings, and you don't have to say with all my listings, anytime I list a property, like if you don't have a lot of listings and you don't want to sort of open a door to, well, how many listings do you have? Say, anytime I list a property, right? This is for you agents that are newer, maybe don't have any listings or just one listing or have only had one listing, whatever. So anytime I list a property, I think feedback is at least in the top 3 most important things to get a property sold. You know, number 1 is great photography, right? Number 2 is a great description because photography is what causes them to click on a whole, you know, screen full of little thumbnails. So you have to have great photography first. Second is going to be the description because the description is what causes them to click on either find me an agent within, you know, whatever platform they're on, or to call their agent and set up a showing. So that's how you get the showings. But then now the showing happens and they're not interested, right? Feedback is what's going to allow me as that good listing agent to do something about the issues that are causing potential buyers not to buy the house. So not getting feedback doesn't make any sense to me. Matter of fact, it's a huge disservice to you because if you don't know what's wrong with the property, not necessarily that you don't know what's wrong with it, but what's turning buyers off, then you can't do anything to remedy that. And then you end up in this revolving wheel of buyers coming in to look at the property and then leaving the property and not buying it. And you're left in the dark, not knowing why. What if it's something like the carpets are dirty in the living room or there's an odor of cat urine in the one kid's bedroom or whatever? Well, hell, we'll have a carpet cleaner come out and clean the carpets. We'll plug in some Glade fresheners so that that smell is not there. And then the next buyer that walks in isn't turned off immediately by that smell. So I think having good feedback is important and something that I do to make sure that that happens. Now, mind you, I'm saying all this right on the phone. Something I do to make sure that that happens is before, like if I had your listing, let's just say hypothetically, you guys relisted and you chose me as that lucky guy to help you get it sold. If I had your listing and somebody called me and said, hey, I'd like to set up a showing on Friday. I'd go, okay, great. Let me call Mr. Smith and get it set up. I'll message you right back. I'm going to call you and say, hey, can we get in there Friday at 4 o'clock? I got an agent who wants to show it. And you are like, yeah, absolutely. Let's get it sold. I'm going to send that agent back a text message. I'm going to say, hey, we're all set for Friday at 4 o'clock. The combination is such and such. Really appreciate you showing my property, and do me a huge favor. After the showing, send me a quick text message with some feedback I can pass on to my seller. Thanks again. Have a great day. Now, before the showing even happens, I'm asking for feedback. So just in case that agent's not a good buyer's agent and they don't bother asking what the client liked or didn't like about the house, they're thinking about that because I'm asking for feedback before they even show it, right? Then that the showing happens at Friday at 4 o'clock, right? I give an hour for the showing, and then I give an hour for them to get back to me. So if I don't have feedback by 6 o'clock on Friday, I shoot that agent a quick text message. Hey, I'm sure you're probably driving. When you get somewhere stationary, do me a huge favor and send me some feedback I can pass on to my sellers. Thanks again for showing my property at 127 South Jones Street. So now on the day of the showing, I'm also asking for feedback if I haven't got it yet. A lot of times I get it, right? After the showing, they shoot me a quick text. They do exactly what I asked them to do, and I get it. But if I didn't get it, 2 hours after that showing, I'm sending another text message, and I'm asking for it. So now I've asked for feedback twice, right? Now, if they don't respond to that 6 o'clock text message, the next morning at 9 a.m., so in this instance, in this example, 9 o'clock the next morning at 9 a.m., I'm calling them on their cell phone. If they don't answer the phone, I'm going to leave them a voicemail. Basically what I just said on that text message the night before. And then I'm going to call their office line just in case they came into the office that morning. So I'm going to call the cell phone and I'm going to call the office phone. If they don't answer the office phone, I'm going to leave a voicemail there too. I'm going to give them about 30 minutes to call me back. I say all this to say by 9:30 on Saturday morning, the day after the showing, you will get a call from me one way or the other, because here's what happens. In the absence of information, you, the seller, you're going to fill in the worst possible scenario. It's kind of like, I'm married, right? Love my wife to pieces. If I went out with the guys Friday night and didn't come home all night, and the next morning, 5 o'clock, my wife's texting me, calling me, I don't answer the phone, she's going to start calling the different police departments to see if I got arrested. She's going to start calling the hospitals to see if I got in an accident. If none of those happens, right, it's not one of those that are kind of innocent. Well, now I'm in the hot seat because I had to go home with another woman. If, like, you fill in the worst possible scenarios. And so I'm almost one of those agents that is over communicating, right? Because I want you guys to know exactly what I know. And something else that I do that a lot of agents don't do is I give unfiltered feedback. And that's important because, like that example where there was a cat urine smell in the child's bedroom or whatever, if I just told you, if they gave me that feedback and I just told you it wasn't a good fit for them, well, then we're not fixing the problem, right? The cat urine smell is still there. So when I give feedback, rather than try to spare feelings, I give you the feedback the way it comes into me, because that's the way we're going to be able to fix the problem and move on if it's something that's fixable. If it's they don't like the neighbor's yard, I can't do anything about that, and you can't do anything about that. But feedback is one of those things that's hyper important. You see what I've done here, and I'm actually cutting my example, right? So now I'm moving on to other stuff on this phone call. But what I've done here is I've interviewed for the job before they even allowed me in for a job interview, right? And I did it, I coordinated it in a way where I asked the question like you asked the question, right? What kind of feedback were you getting? But then you didn't follow it up with your little mini job interview ahead of time, because what works better than anything else, I believe, and it's an opinion, so it could be wrong, but what works better than anything else, in my opinion, is giving somebody the ability to see what it's like working with you before working with you. Rather than just going in there and saying, I'm a great agent, I sell a lot of houses, I'm gonna be the hardest working guy you've ever met, right? Kind of like bullet points on stuff. I'm actually giving them a window into the experience of working with me prior to actually working with me. That's why I convert so many of these because on the phone, I'm doing a good bit of this, and then I do more of it in person, actually at the appointment. Does all that make sense? And you see why I went down that path, because you opened the door and then you didn't walk through it. So I want you walking through the door the next time. You don't necessarily have to say everything I just said, right? But I want you to start work. That's my rhythm, and that's my rap, for lack of a better word, right? That's the things that I'm comfortable. I can like go right through that, just like I did right here, without adding in the commentary, the me teaching you guys stuff in the middle. I just go right through it, and they're like, "Oh, well, look at this." Let me just a sec. My phone's ringing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Hello.
Hi, this is Megan. I work for Dawn. I'm calling to schedule a showing for her at 110 or 1110 Belvedere Road.
Okay. When did you guys want to get in there?
This Thursday at 1:30.
Thursday at 1:30. Give me a sec to get my book out. I'm old school. Everything is written down. How's your week going so far?
Good. How about you?
Could not hardly be doing any better. Let's see here. That's Belvedere Road. Thursday is what? Is the 17th? 18th?
Yes.
17th. and 17. And what time did you say?
1:30.
1:30. All right, you're all set, or Dawn is all set. The combo is do me a favor as well. That one is vacant. It is he is working on it pretty much daily on renovations and whatnot. So
Okay.
he is certainly entertaining any offer that might be coming in, even if it's, if they want to just take it kind of in an as is condition and, offer less, by all means, bring any kind of offer that they're interested in doing. And after the showing, if you could ask Dawn to shoot me a quick text message just with some feedback, I can relay to the seller.
Okay, and will the price be going up when that construction inside the home is done?
When big chunks of it are done, it's not going to be going up incrementally, but if he makes like a significant amount of progress, then it will start inching up. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and are you doing like construction in the whole house, or is it just like certain parts of the house?
The whole house is in a remodel mode. Not anything like ripping up floors or anything where it's dangerous for them to walk in. It's not that situation, but the whole house is in renovation mode at this moment.
All right, cool. Thank you so much. I will let her know that information.
You're welcome. And I might call you back because I think he's going to have another one down the street from that we're going to be listing later this week. It's a 5-bedroom on 2 acres, and it's going to be roughly the same price. So she might want to add that one to the list as well.
All right, cool. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. So were you guys able to hear that and how I, maneuvered into asking for feedback, just like we were talking about. And that's a vacant property. It's under construction. So I didn't necessarily have to call the homeowner to, get permission and then all that other stuff. But I'm getting my point across and I'm making sure that we're getting feedback. Now, this one, I know what the feedback's going to be. The house is in total disarray on the inside. Like there's bare studs and flooring's all pulled up and, no kitchen to speak of, no cabinets, no sink, no anything. It does have a lot of good stuff going for it. It's got a brand new roof. It's got all brand new plumbing. It's got all brand new electric. It's got even the plumbing from the street to the house has been replaced. Like there's a lot of stuff that's been done to this house. So it is a long way on the way to being a fantastic place, but it's a long way from being done. So I know what the feedback's going to be, but at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that we want feedback. right? Which is to the point that we were just talking about with your guy, Trav. Was it a guy or a gal you were talking to?
A guy.
Okay. So now you get that point out of the way, right? And you move on. And he said, "Do you want to come take a look at it and give me your opinion?" Is that what he said?
Yeah, it was something like something like that, similar to that.
Okay. And so you set it for tomorrow.
Yep, at 2. Because at first, I said Wednesday 2 o'clock, but I thought it was Monday. I thought it was Monday, but it was Tuesday actually. So yeah, it'll be tomorrow at 2.
Okay. And then what happened after that? Just you set the appointment for tomorrow too, and then you got off the phone?
Well, he asked about my name, did my name, company I work for, let him know I'm going to send that resume over.
So you got an email from him. That's
he got an email.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Okay. That's where I was going, because now you want to send the resume over. You also want to send over the active comps that he's going to be competing against in the market right now, right? Everything. And this is something that I want you thinking about for your meeting with him tomorrow. Most agents are going to price a property based on sold comps. That's how a lot of us are taught. That's how most of us are taught, to go look at the sold comps from 6, 8, 12 months ago, use that to determine a price for a property moving forward and all that. Problem with that is the market 6 months ago is not the market today.
Right.
The market 6 months ago might not accommodate what's active on the market right now. And if you price your home based on what happened 6 months ago, you might underprice it drastically and it's sell in a day, and you actually leave money on the table for your client, which is huge disservice. Or you might overprice it. Everything else in the market sells. Yours sits there and gets stagnant, and then you get a crazy lowball offer because it's 6 months on the market. So I don't care about sold properties when I'm pricing a property, which is unlike most other agents out there. I pull the active properties that are an apples to apples comparison to your house, Mr. Seller, right? And then those are the ones that I use to determine where we need to be positioned in the market so that you're the logical choice based on either price or features. It's not always about price, right? If you've got a very basic house that's never been renovated, that's 20 years old, that has 20-year-old cabinets, 20-year-old counters, 20-year-old everything, right? Versus the same house 3 blocks over that's got full renovations in it. Well, that house full renovations is going to be higher priced, and it may sell first before the lower priced house, right? So it's not necessarily about price, but we want you to be positioned in the market so that you're the logical choice based on either features or price. Does that make sense? And they'll say yes, right? But we're speaking to them in a way that other real estate agents aren't speaking to them, right? So today, now, what I want you doing is going through your MLS, and you're going to want to find homes that are geographically close to his, that are similar to his in as many ways as possible. You want to find 3 or 4. Same number of bedrooms, same number of bathrooms, same size lot, hopefully same neighborhood or close to him geographically, right? And then you're going to write those MLS numbers down. Once you have a list of 3 or 4, I want you to email those properties over to him through your MLS, right? You'll be able to do a list of those properties on your MLS and then choose to share or email whatever your MLS says, and then put his email address in and send those over to him with a little note that says, hey, here's some of your competition out in the market right now. I wanted to send this over. We're going to talk about it tomorrow when I get there, so that he can see how he's priced based on the competition out there. But then you're going to take it one step further. Now, this is not something that you're going to send today. You're going to take it one step further, and you're going to look at his property. Now, it expired off the market or canceled?
Let's see. Expired.
How long was it on the market? From what date to what date?
From November 10th all the way to May 3rd.
May 3rd to November 10th. And that's 75 days?
No, 175 from last
175
year.
days.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 1 second. To it. All right, where was I? a step further. We're going to go a step further now, right? So 175 days in the market. You're going to do, and if you're not comfortable saying this, as you do more of these, you'll get comfortable saying it, right? And this is something that nobody else is saying. I'd like to do a real estate autopsy for you on your property, right? And they're going to go, autopsy? It's like, yeah. And they're going to look at you kind of funny and go, what do you mean autopsy? Well, you know how an autopsy is done when somebody dies suspiciously and they want to figure out the cause of death, right? And I'll go, yeah. Well, you had a living, breathing listing for 175 days that died. And I'd like to sit down with you after we get through with our walkthrough and all, and do an autopsy on why your property died and didn't make it successfully to a closing table, right? They'll laugh, but you're intriguing them with stuff that nobody else is saying. No one is talking about real estate autopsies. No contract knowledge, I'm hopeful. Okay. So the way you're going to do that real estate autopsy is you're going to print their MLS page for their property that expired, so that you've got all the details right in front of you. How many days on, what the listing, the original listing price was, how many price reductions were done, the whole thing, right? So that you'll have it in front of you on paper. Then you're going to go back to your MLS and you're going to go May 3rd to November 31st or whatever the length of time that their property was on the market, right? This is important because their property was sitting on the market during this period of time. And you're going to look at all the closed properties in that period of time. And you're going to pick out 2 or 3 that closed that were as close to identical to his property as you can. You follow what I'm saying? So now you're looking at closed properties and you're looking at people that beat him to a finish line. And you're going to sit down with them and say, well, this one had professional photos, right? Now, maybe his didn't have professional photos. I didn't see your screen, for the thing. And don't put it on screen share, because I might make this a video for YouTube. So I don't want other people seeing, a listing.
But it was cell phone photos though.
So you can't talk bad about the other agent. You can't say your listing had cell phone photos. That's why it didn't sell, because you're bad mouthing another agent. Ethically, you can't do that. But you can go, hey, here's one thing that I see that's really important on this particular property that sold during the time. He had professional photos, right? Have your computer with you so that you can go through and show him the photos and say professional photos make a big difference. They really do, right? It's important. And he had a great description, right? Maybe he used ChatGPT to write it, but whatever you got to do to give your client the best possibility of selling their house, right, is what you need to do. If you're not, a novelist where you can write novels when you're, doing that, if you aren't a, what's that other phrase that I heard? Oh, I'm going to think of it here in a minute as soon as I don't need it. It's a word something. But it just means that you're really good with words, really good with putting together engaging narratives. That's what you need for your listings, right? You need, and I'll be clear. I write my listings with ChatGPT. I don't even have to think about it. I put 3-bedroom, 2-bath, charming, country living, and ChatGPT writes a fantastic. I mean, it's beautiful. People love it. Why not? Right? Use the tools that you have at your disposal. ChatGPT doesn't even cost me anything. It's free to use. You just plug in, write me a listing description using the following and put a colon, and then put in the basics of the house and how you want it to sound, and then it'll write you out something fantastic. So you're going to go through and show him these listings that did make it to a finish line and what you think caused them to sell, and then say, hey, do you have any questions for me? Right? Because what you're picking out on those that caused them to sell are going to be things he didn't have on his. So you're doing an autopsy. You are determining the cause of death for his listing. Does that make
Right.
sense? And the rest of it's just real simple. It's not like a FSBO where you're going to take in, open house sign-in sheet and, your vendor list and all that other stuff. You'll talk a little bit about the fact that you're with a global brokerage, that has reach not only across the US, but all across Mexico, all across Canada, like all across another 30 countries out in the world. And a lot of times having it in that system brings buyers from other states, that are looking to relocate. And it's pretty powerful. You're also going to tap into your youth. And say something else that I have over a lot of other agents is that I have the time to dedicate strictly to your listing, right? One of those agents that has 20 or 30 listings, you're on a totem pole. You aren't his top priority. You're in the middle of his pack somewhere, right? Which means you can slip through the cracks. With me, no chance you slip through the cracks because I'm young and I'm determined to make a mark on this industry. And I've got the best people around me to make sure that I do everything the way it should be done, right? So I've got a great team around me. I'm young and hungry, and you get 100% of my time and energy. All that makes sense?
It does.
And that's your listing appointment, really, in a nutshell. You'll talk, you'll build rapport, ask him what his plans are. Your next home, is it going to be bigger than this? You going with smaller? You going with, land versus, in a neighborhood, or kind of what are you thinking? And then, just wherever you can build rapport, build it. Any questions?
You broke it down pretty well.
Yeah.
Well, those are all things. And that's why I wanted you guys recording this. Because I want you thinking about, like, go back and watch this over and over and over again. Practice it. Practice it on your family members or whatever. Walk through the house, The walk around's real easy. I walk in, I've got my papers with me. I set them down on the kitchen table or the coffee table in the living room, because that's where you're going to kind of stall out when you walk in the house and say, hey, I'm dying for the nickel tour, right? Don't hold anything back. Hey, let me ask you this before we get started. When it was on the market, did you go under contract at all? Or did it just and the contract fall apart, or did it just not go under contract at all? Right? Because if it went under contract, oh, okay, great. Did they do an inspection? Right? Were you given an inspection for the property, a home inspection, so you could see what the home inspector found? Sometimes that's important because we could take that home inspection. You could do a couple of the repairs that are on the home inspection, and we could provide that for showings. And a lot of times they won't get a new inspection because they've already got a $600 inspection right here in front of them. And they can see what that inspector found on the house and kind of go from there. So, those are things that you can kind of talk about. Tell him, don't hold anything back on this walk around. Right. Let me know everything. Let me know that, this is where you added on the addition. Let me know, like anything you can think of, because all of this stuff is going to help me better understand the home so that I can sell it.
Right.
Start using that assumptive language. I'm hoping you use me as your real estate agent. I want to know everything there is to know about this house so that I can have success on getting this property sold for you. Okay. What else? Anything else you can think of?
So I already asked him, well, what kind of activity was there when the property was on the market. He said he had 3 showings, but no one wrote him an offer or anything like that. So the property was sitting on the market collecting dust.
Collecting dust. You can tell them this, right? I do something a lot of agents won't do. Because when you get back and you sit down and you start going over pricing and all that other stuff, he may ask you a question. And even if he doesn't, I want you to talk about this. He may ask you the question, well, what are you going to do to get my house sold? Different from the other agent, right? All agents do is put it on the MLS. You'll hear that from time to time. And I chuckle when people tell me that. All they do is put it on the MLS. I mean, all you guys are basically the same. Well, not really. right? Some people, that's all they do. Me personally, I put it on the MLS. It's absolutely going to go on the MLS just like everybody else does. Well, most agents do, they put it on the MLS. They might put it on their social media, on Facebook and whatever. And then they wait for the universe to bring them a buyer. I put it on the MLS, but then I do kind of like what I'm doing now, right? Where I'll call the neighborhood around it and see if anybody wants to pick their neighbor, right? I'm looking to deputize as many people to sell your house as possible. So I'll call this neighborhood, the next neighborhood over, the next neighborhood over, and say, hey, I don't know if you guys have ever had somebody tell you at a Christmas party or whatever that they'd love to live closer to you or would love to live in this neighborhood, but I've got this great house over here that's available and wanted to just check in and see if you guys knew anybody that wanted to move closer to you. I know it's important to be able to pick your own neighbors. Nobody wants to end up with one of those knucklehead neighbors, right? And they'll laugh, ha, 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 ha. What it's doing, though, is this. Let's say they were at a Christmas party last year and their cousin who lives the next state over was like, man, if a house ever comes up available in your neighborhood, let me know about it. I might want to move there, right? Live closer to grandma or whatever the thing was. Well, here's the thing. We're now 10 months later. And so them driving through the neighborhood, seeing a for sale sign, they might not think about that conversation they had 10 months ago, right? But if I call them and say, hey, didn't know if maybe you knew somebody wanted to live closer to you. It's a great house over here at a great price. And they go, hey, my cousin said they wanted to move in closer to me, right? That jogs that memory. Now you have an army of people deputized to sell this house. It's not just where you're waiting for an agent or the universe to bring you a buyer. Now you have everybody in the neighborhood looking to pick their own neighbor, right? Or when you're making that call and you're asking about that, what if they're living in a 3-bedroom home and they just got pregnant and they need another bedroom? They're going to say, well, how many bedrooms is it? Well, it's 4 bedrooms. It's a great house. 4 bedrooms, huh? Well, we're looking to upgrade, right? So now they just got pregnant. They weren't necessarily looking right now, but this is the same neighborhood. They love this neighborhood. And now they can sell their house and buy another house in the same neighborhood and get what they need, which is 1 more bedroom, right? So you never know what you're going to come across. And now you're putting together 2 deals, right? You're closing on your deal and you're getting another listing to sell. So it's powerful when I jump on here. So what I'm doing, to your point, Mr. Seller, what I'm doing is I'm proactively looking for buyers through my tactics, through my cold calls, right? Everybody's afraid to cold call anymore, right? Because there's so many salespeople calling the general public now that they're like, oh, I get so many calls. I wouldn't want somebody calling me. I'm looking to call and help people. And I get great responses from the community when I reach out to them, right? Not uncomfortable at all. So it's a lot of fun for me to reach out to the community and see who I can help. And at the same time, who can help me. And it works great. So instead of just waiting for the buyer to come, I'm proactively working to find a buyer myself as well, which is what causes me to have such great success. See, these are things that I want you guys talking about when you're on these appointments, because you are doing something that most agents won't do, which is pick that phone up and call complete strangers and take a chance. Right? Most agents are just going to pay Zillow thousands of dollars for a zip code and then have warm leads call them. Garbage. So
how do you set appointments with sellers who want to sell like 3 to 4 months ahead of the conversation?
You don't.
Like that's when you follow up.
You don't. At that point, it's just a follow-up. If you're having a conversation with them, they go, yeah, we're probably going to sell in 4 months. It's like, oh, okay. What's going to happen in 4 months? You getting a new job? You're having a baby? Like, what's causing the 4-month thing? Maybe they say something like, well, the interest rates are too high. It's going to be too hard to sell the house. Well, actually, last week, let me pull up my computer's acting funny. Either way, you can say, let me pull up my MLS real quick. And go to your hot sheet for the last week and say, in the last week, we've sold 347 houses, right, in the MLS. So as long as houses are priced right, market's not too tough for selling houses because there's no inventory. So you might be able to, not that you're trying to overcome an objection, because I don't believe in overcoming objections, but you may be able to clear up a misconception that they have, right? That they need to wait 4 months because they're waiting for the market to improve when the market's just fine right now. Houses are selling every day. And maybe waiting for the market to improve is just an excuse. You always have to think that they're not necessarily telling you the real reason and that it's an excuse. So you can say, well, actually, let me look at my MLS. You look at the MLS, we sold 375 houses last week. So the market's great. If that's what's holding you back, you know, now's a great time to sell houses. And we're selling a ton of them. And if they go, yeah, but you know, the timing and da-da-da-da, yeah, hey, I get it. Look, let me do this. I'm gonna send you over my resume. That way you can meet me on paper. What's a good email for you? You grab his email. Say, okay, look, I'm gonna send you just some stuff through your email so that you can, you know, keep up on what's going on with the market. If you need something, lock my number in. I'd be more than happy to talk with you anytime. And I'll follow up with you every month or so just to kind of see how things are going. Fair enough? And they'll say, sure. It's like, awesome. Then you get off the phone. You're not setting an appointment. Right? If it's 3, 4, 6 months out. You're staying top of mind for when that day does come. All right?
Got that.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all of our concerns.
Awesome. Now, since you guys came over and joined the team, how have you liked it so far?
Oh, I loved it.
It's been great. We've been consistent.
Is it a different experience than you had at your old brokerages?
Yeah.
I think it's because I met Travis too, because we're like the same age. When I came over here, now I have an accountability partner. When I was at my other brokerage, I just felt left behind pretty much.
Gotcha. Now it's just time to produce.
It's been hard. Like me and Travis are like so different. Like Travis will call like 2 numbers and I'm over here calling 20. He'll get like the first number he calls, he'll get an email or something. And I'm just going through like 20 numbers of rejection. So it's like, it's crazy.
So start recording your calls. This is something that's going to be really important. You can do this right on here, record your calls, and then it'll dump right under your computer after you shut down the Zoom. And then go back and listen to your call session. And when you listen to it, I want you to listen to it with an ear to what you sound like, right? Would I trust this person? Does this person sound like somebody that knows what they're talking about? Does this person sound confident or do they sound scared? Does this person sound like a salesperson or does this person sound like somebody I've known 20 years, right? Listen back to the conversation and pick yourself apart. And when you do that, right, your learning curve is going to be tremendous. It'll totally change how you're making these calls. When I started recording myself to put it on YouTube, I made adjustments immediately. Like as soon as I started recording myself, I made adjustments.
There we go. What happened, Shane?
I don't know. I had a glitch. How much did you guys hear?
It was
Hey, you're talking about recording calls. We got
so record yourself and then go back and watch yourself with a critical eye or a critical ear, right? Make sure that you don't sound salesy. Make sure that you sound confident. Make sure that you sound like you know what you're talking about. Like listen to it and go, would I trust this guy? Right? When I started doing my YouTube channel and I started recording myself and then going back and editing the videos and then getting them on here, well, when I edit the videos, I have to listen to the whole thing. And I made adjustments immediately. As soon as I saw myself, I was like, okay, well, I'm not saying that again because that sounded stupid, right? Constantly making adjustments. And I still make adjustments to this day, right? I'll hear something I don't like and it's like, all right, well, I'm going to do this a little different next time. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do whatever. So never feel like you've made it. Continually listen to yourself and then go back and make adjustments. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll reach out with any questions. Always available.
No problem.
Thank
I
you, Sam.
appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys. So that is a couple of my members to my team, both young guys, 21, I think 20 and 21 on both of them. And they are in here every day, blowing the phones up, getting better at their craft, right? And then that was a little mini coaching session where Travis ended up picking up a listing appointment for tomorrow on Unexpired. And I gave him some nuggets that he could use, moving forward with that. So hope you guys enjoyed that. No calls on this particular video, but there's some details here that I think a lot of you are going to be able to pull something from and, potentially put it to good use. So hope you enjoyed it. If you want to book a one-on-one coaching call with me, book it on the calendly below. We'll sit down. We'll talk about what my coaching program looks like. And if you're thinking of a brokerage change, both of those guys there did a brokerage change, and they absolutely love it. It's a totally different environment from where they were before. If that's something that you have been thinking about, we're in that season now. It's October. Everybody's looking back at their year going, all right, well, this went well. That went well. This didn't go so well, right? Where can I make changes for next year? And so sometimes that's with a brokerage swap. So if it's something that you've been thinking about, book a call on my Calendly link below, and we can go over what that looks like. Sometimes it's a good fit, sometimes it's not. But enjoy doing these videos. Hope you guys get a lot out of it. Leave a comment below with what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, what you agreed with, what you didn't agree with, right? I'm always open to hear, what you guys are thinking out there. And we'll see you on the next one.
It takes 9 months to be born into this world, but only 1 second to be taken out. That's why I wake up and thank God every morning. Just waking up is a blessing. Each new day is a gift, a chance to embrace life and all its possibilities. Appreciate the small moments, cherish your loved ones, and live each day with gratitude and purpose. Remember, every sunrise is a reminder that life itself is a miracle. Seize it.